Welcome, ZASLOW Show 2.0. It is a Thursday, the 3rd of August. Good to have you aboard. Presented as always by Anidjar and Levine, Accident Attorneys. 800-747-FREE. 800-747-3733. If you've been involved in any kind of an accident, you go where you're going to be treated like family and get the money that you deserve. You take care of your health. I send you to the best in the business. Anidjar and Levine, Accident Attorneys, 800-747-FREE, 800-747-3733. I'm in a great mood today. We had a great sports night last night. Thanks to everybody for hanging out with us today. I appreciate it. Also want to mention, of course, you may have noticed a bonus episode this week. Our pro wrestling podcast, It's Still Real to Me, came out last night, and it's good for at least the next few days. It's a preview of WWE SummerSlam, which is this Saturday night, the biggest party of the summer. It's the biggest show of the summer. So this Saturday night is SummerSlam. I wanted to make sure that we gave all of our pro wrestling fans from ZASLOW Show 2.0 an opportunity to listen to the SummerSlam preview show. So that dropped last night. A bonus episode this week of It's Still Real to Me. So that's available there. And obviously you have until Saturday evening until it becomes dated. If you want to listen to it after SummerSlam, that's fine. That's not going to make a whole lot of sense. But up until Saturday night, you got time to check out this week's bonus episode of It's Still Real to Me. So there you have it. I hope that you watch that. Or, you always watch everything, especially when I have guests on youtube.com/@ZASLOWShow. But make sure you're subscribed to everything on the podcast. Everywhere you get your podcast, that's where ZASLOW Show 2.0 is available. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your mother I say hello, and make sure you're listening to all of our episodes, including the bonus episode that dropped last night. All right, so like I said, we're in a really good mood today. We got to talk about what a great sports night last night was here for us in South Florida. Tonight, you got NFL preseason. It's the Hall of Fame game. Browns, Jets, we got that going on. We're approaching the weekend. We get to the weekend and we are full on in a Dolphin game week. The Dolphins have their first preseason game. The rest of the league, they get going next week. I presume a week from tonight. This Saturday afternoon, Zach Thomas is being inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. We're going to cover that more tomorrow, all right? So the day before it, we're going to get into that, some stories about Zach Thomas. We're going to do that on tomorrow's show. And I want to and of course, it's Thursday, which means we got ZASLOW Show 2.0 Mailbag. That's right, we do Mailbag on Thursdays. Got a bunch of questions we'll get to. So hopefully if you sent in a question, you're listening to today's episode and you'll hear me answer it. If you want to take part for next week, look, you can send me questions all throughout the week. I'll save them and we'll answer them on Thursday shows. So there you go. All right, a couple things I want to get to here before we get to Messi, before we get to Mailbag. I got some stuff on the Heat actually, which I'm a little bit annoyed about. I'm annoyed about things that I'm hearing, not in regards to actually the team, but things the media folks are saying about what's going on with the Heat and Damian Lillard. I'm a little bit annoyed, so we'll get to that as well. Yesterday afternoon, saw the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem movie. Took my younger son. We see all the big movies. We see them the days they come out. So this movie came out middle of the week. Came out on Wednesday, so we went and saw it yesterday afternoon. No spoiler alert, it'll probably be in big movie, not a big movie tomorrow. It's 96% certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes already. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, which is being called the best Ninja Turtles movie in the installment. Now, you had the older ones. You had the ones from a few years ago, which were also live action. And this one, it's a it's animated, but my son says the animation is called 2.5D. Is that what it's called? I don't know. My son's way into movies. He knows about all this type of stuff with filmmaking. He says it's called the type of animation, because I turned to him, it's not your regular animation. It's kind of like, you know how in the Across the Spider-Verse movies, it's a different kind of animation. This is different too. He says this is called 2.5D. Anyway, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem movie is excellent. Really fun, really funny. I don't know, it's got the classic characters, the classic villains. It's got a really good end. Make sure you stick around for the mid-credit scene, post-mid-credit scene. That sets up the future of the franchise. It deals with a teenage version of the Ninja Turtles, which also means a teenage version of April O'Neil. So it's a different kind of version of Master Splinter, who's played by Jackie Chan. Movie's really fun. You take your kids, you're gonna have a great time. If I could tell you, so we're at the movies yesterday, and remember, it's a Wednesday. I don't know, is it a holiday yesterday? The theater is packed yesterday, and it's packed with people who are there to see Barbie, which is fine. The Barbie movie's making a ton of money. I hear the Barbie movie is great. I do want to see it. I'm not going to get around to seeing it in the theater. I am going to watch the Barbie movie eventually. I hear it's great. Who doesn't want to look at Margot Robbie for 2 hours, okay? And listen, I don't mind looking at Ryan Gosling either, but who doesn't want to look at Margot Robbie? So I'm going to see this Barbie movie. But holy shit, in the lobby, I was at Cinemark yesterday, in the lobby, and they're all, waiting online to get food, concessions, what have you. There must have been 75 people who are going to see Barbie. How do I know they're going to see Barbie? They're all wearing pink. That's the thing, right? They all dress up. Everybody dress up. They wear pink. There must have been 75 people in that lobby, and they're all wearing pink. I mean, look, I'm not dressing up to go to a movie. I want to wear exactly what I'm wearing right now. Well, maybe not exactly what I'm wearing right now. I'm in a t-shirt. I also have boxer briefs on, so I'm in my underwear right now. So I'm going to wear exactly what I'm wearing right now. Actually, I would wear exactly what I'm wearing right now, but I would put some shorts over exactly what I'm wearing right now. So maybe I would wear exactly what I'm wearing right now. That's semantics, though. But the people who go see this Barbie movie, they are decked out in the pink. Still doing it. The movie's been out for, I guess this is when did we see Oppenheimer? Was it last week that we saw Oppenheimer? Was it 2 weeks? You know what? I think it was last week. Yeah. All right, so this is only the second week that the Barbie movie's out. I guess it makes sense for people still to be dressing up, wearing the pink, going to see Barbie. But yeah, they're really doing that. They're decked out in all their pink gear, going to see Barbie. But anyway, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem movie is really fun. It's a younger version of the Ninja Turtles. Really, I thought the voices were great. It's produced by Seth Rogen. Also, screenplays written by Seth Rogen. He's in it as well. He plays the voice of Bebop. And John Cena's also in it. He plays the voice of Rocksteady. A lot of big names are in it. What's her name? Maya Rudolph. From Giancarlo Esposito from Breaking Bad. You know who I'm talking about. And of course, like I said, Jackie Chan. Ice Cube. Ice Cube plays Superfly, who's the main villain. So anyway, really enjoyed Teenage Mutant Turtles Ninja Mayhem. Mutant Mayhem. I was laughing out loud throughout. I was LOLing throughout that movie. So anyway, go check that out. You're looking for something. Now, obviously, it'll be in big movie or not a big movie tomorrow. But you go check it out with your kids this weekend. You thank me later. Okay, so when we get home, I get home in time. I got home last night. I recorded It's Still Real to Me. Got done with It's Still Real to Me with plenty of time to watch Inter Miami last night. Now, Inter Miami is supposed to start at 8 o'clock last night. We're in a rain delay. We're in a well, not necessarily a rain delay, but like lightning delay. So we're in a weather delay. The game doesn't start until, 9:35-ish, something like that. And I'll tell you, man, I'm having a really hard time watching these Inter Miami games now, and still League Cup, it's not regular season. I'm having a hard time watching these games and not thinking Inter Miami's just going to win every game now from here on out. They are last place in MLS because, like I said, while they're 3-0 with Messi, those are League Cup games. So after winning last night, they won their 2 group play games, and now they've won in the round of 32, so now they've advanced to the round of 16. They got to win 4 more games to win the League's Cup. And then MLS play will begin again for the second half of the season. They're in last place in the Eastern Conference. I think last place maybe overall as well. And just to put it to some context, so they kicked the shit out of Orlando City last night, especially the second half. They win 3-1 yesterday. Messi, another brace. Now, I don't always like to use soccer lingo. Everybody knows this is a soccer show, but I want to make sure that we're being all inclusive. So when I say something like brace, that means he scored 2 goals. I'll say 2 goals for the rest of the way here, because again, this is an inclusive soccer show. I want to make sure we're all on the same page and nobody feels excluded from the conversation. So when I say things like brace, that means Messi had 2 goals. And last night, Messi, best ever, 2 goals. So I'm watching. They kicked the shit out of that team last night, especially in the second half. Messi, he scores, but before, you know what? Before, I'm going to play the goals for you here. But just for some context, Inter Miami beat Atlanta United 4-0 last week in the second game of group play in the Leagues Cup. Inter Miami's last in the Eastern Conference. Atlanta United is 7th. They're a playoff team. 4-0. And also, let's acknowledge the fact that Messi is still going to have to... I don't know if he needs more time to get accustomed and get acclimated to his new teammates, because it seems like that's going pretty well. But you'd have to figure the more time spent, the better he's going to get. And same thing with Sergio Busquets. And by the way, Jordi Alba just joined the team last night. He played last night in the second half too. So anyway, they're only going to get better, you would assume. And Gregory is going to rejoin the team. Josep Martinez, we're starting to see him get going. Obviously, you got Yedlin back from the Gold Cup games. This team is rolling. They're going to win every game, it feels like. So, to put it to some context, they kicked the shit 4-0 out of the 7th place team, a playoff team, Atlanta United. Last night, they kicked the shit out of the 5th place team, Orlando City, 3-1. Now, there's only 12 games left. Let me actually look at the standings here. Look at the standings. There's 12 games left, all right, in the MLS season once play gets going again. Inter Miami is last place. They have 18 points total. That's 17 points behind number 7. I think the playoff line is 7. That's 17 points back. I mean, it's going to be really hard. You may have to win. I know Taylor Twellman was talking about it. Of the 12 games left that they may have to win, they may need another 27 points. You may need 30 points. Like, they may need to win 10 out of their final 12 games. They may need 30 points. And if that's the case, I think Atlanta United has 10 more games remaining. You would need to keep Atlanta United. They'd have to win, like, only 6 of their final 10 games, Atlanta United, which, I mean, that's hard. You know, winning more than 50% of your games, you're a good soccer team. So it's going to be it's a big mountain to climb for Inter Miami to wind up making the MLS postseason. But man, like, it looks like they're rolling to win this Leagues Cup here, and it makes you feel good about moving forward. Like, even if they wind up missing the playoffs here, the next season starts like, yeah, we got Messi now, obviously. Team's going to be great and coming off of amazing momentum from this past season. So anyway, like I said, just to put into some context, and to show you what Messi does for this team. Because remember, that was one of my questions. How does it work when you add not just the greatest soccer player of all time, but just a great, great player, and you plop him down on a terrible team? Are they all of a sudden amazing? And it seems like the answer is, yeah, they're all of a sudden amazing. So there's a little bit of context there for what Messi has done for this team, just being added to a bad team. Now, I understand Busquets, now you got Alba, okay. But they're kicking the shit out of teams in MLS who are good, or at least who are supposed to be good. 7th minute into the game last night, and just the control here. I think it was Robert Taylor who set him up. Just the control here. Messi, he leads him into the box, stays onside, the control where he bounces off his chest and smashes it home.
Taylor Taylor cutting inside. Clipping it. Messi! No stopping Lionel Messi! Another early one for Inter Miami, who go up 1-0 behind the great one.
That's a really cool thing where for the second game in a row, and how cool is it that all three of these games, I don't know how they figure that out, but all three of these games have been at Tri-Pink Stadium for this Leagues Cup. Now, I think in the round of 16 now, I think they're going to be on the road. I don't know who they're playing. I don't know if that's been said yet. I think they're going to be on the road for the first time with Messi. But it's so cool where for the second straight game, Messi scores early on. So you already have a crowd who's jacked up. You got a lot of folks there who are seeing Messi for the very first time. And right away, just a few minutes into the game, that place is on fire. So they're up 1-0. It's 1-1 by the time we get to halftime. Orlando City really, probably outplayed them for the last half of that first half. Into the second half, Josep Martinez draws a penalty, and this is important to make note of this, all right? Lionel Messi, I don't know if allows is the right term, but you want your best player taking the penalty. He's going to score it. Messi allows Josep Martinez to take the penalty. This is a great move by the captain. He's captain. This is a great move by the new leader of the team. You want Martinez to get going. On the broadcast, they talked about, hey, we haven't even seen yet Messi and Martinez making that connection. You want Martinez to get going. Apparently, he has a history of killing Orlando City when he was with Atlanta United. And he lets his teammate take the penalty. Martinez scores. So they're up 2-1. And if I can also tell you something else about Messi's influence now in MLS, real quick, before I tell you, that's a tease right there. Before I tell you about some of Messi's influence there in MLS, you know what I was enjoying the game with last night. That's right. I got done taping It's Still Real to Me. I'm sitting down, I'm watching Messi. I got the official beer of ZASLOW Show 2.0, Johnny Cuba in my hand. I'm in the ZASLOW Mansion family room on the couch in my underwear. I got a Johnny Cuba in my right hand. In my left hand, actually, I got the Marlins game on my phone. Why is it not on the small TV, ZASLOW? TV broke. That's right. That's a whole nother story. I'm rocking one television in the ZASLOW Mansion family room. I got to go out and buy a new one. I'm gonna do it soon. So I had the Marlins game on my iPhone in my left hand. In my right hand, Johnny Cuba. If you haven't tried the official beer of ZASLOW Show 2.0 yet, Johnny Cuba, hey, that's on you. I'm telling you every day how delicious it is. We're talking European roots with a Caribbean soul, a refreshing German lager in a can. You can purchase a 6-pack of Johnny Cuba right now. Your local Sedanos, Presidente, Winn-Dixie, Fresco y Mas. Always drink responsibly. That's why I like having Johnny Cuba in the house, because I can always drink responsibly here. And of course, don't forget Johnny Cuba's mantra, stay tranquilo. If you're looking for homeowners insurance, guys, I've been getting my homeowners, it's very important. I've been getting my homeowners insurance through Brunt Insurance and Financial Services for almost 10 years now. And I keep going back. I keep renewing every year with Greg Brunt and his team at Brunt Insurance. I just renewed my policy for next year a couple weeks ago. And that's because the process is so simple. They make the confusing super simple, super crystal clear. And not only am I getting the most comprehensive coverage anywhere, I'm getting it the most affordable rate there is. Affordable care that offers the best coverage. I mean, what are we talking about here? Bruntinsurance.com, 954-589-2204. You may think you know what kind of coverage you need, and hey, if you rent your home, if you're in a condo, there are so many options out there, it's going to make your head spin. You got to make sure you go to Greg Brunt and his team at Brunt Insurance, where his staff, fully certified, they know exactly what area here in Florida you're calling from. They have offices all throughout the state. They're ranked the #1 insurance agency in the entire state of Florida, top 5 in the U.S. And from Pensacola to the Keys, Brunt Insurance has you covered. So wherever you're calling from, they know your area. Now, I get my homeowner's insurance from Brunt Insurance, but we're also talking automobile, motorcycle, boaters insurance. If you call 954-589-2204, you're making the right call. It'll be the last insurance agency you ever use. 954-589-2204, bruntinsurance.com. So, here's what you're also noticing. There were a couple other things I want to point out about Messi last night. Number one, I think if you're an Inter Miami fan, you love what you're seeing. Not just that he's scoring the goals and they're winning. He's super engaged. He's mixing it up with the players on the other team. There's pushing, there's shoving. He's got his finger, he's pointing at the referee. And that's another thing. Orlando City was very unhappy with the referee last night. And the referee was a little bit questionable calls. But here's what's going to happen. Like, there are plays where Messi is deserving of a foul or a card. He did pick up his first yellow with Inter Miami. And then moments later, Messi does something and it goes uncalled. And then moments later, a yellow or at least a foul is being called against a player from Orlando City against Messi. Lionel Messi is going to influence these referees. MLS referee is not the same referee on Premier League. It's not the same referee on Champions League. It's not the same guy in La Liga, all right? These referees, they've probably never been around someone like Messi. And I think you saw last night, he is very influential when it comes with the calls that are being made. But anyway, it's 2-1 at this point. And now we're in the middle of the second half. And I mean, Messi, it's like unbelievable. It was Robert Taylor finding Josep Martinez on the other post. And then Martinez sets up Messi beautifully.
Lo que se le dejó y aquí la pierde y se viene Messi. Y se viene Messi, sigue Messi, engancha por la mitad de la cancha. La asistencia para Taylor, va trotando Messi, va llegando Josep Martínez como en el partido contra Atlanta. Viene el centro, la quiere Josep, le puso la tabla Messi.
He makes it look easy. He really does. Inter Miami goes on to win 3-1, and to add insult to injury, in the last minute of stoppage time, Orlando City got a second goal, and they ended up taking it away a few minutes later with VAR, and the offside flag should have been up. So instead of 3-2 final, it's 3-1. Inter Miami advances to round of 16. I can't believe we get to watch him every summer now for the next 3 years. You got now 24 and 25, and then the hope is that the new stadium at Miami Freedom Park will be open for 26, where apparently there's a mutual club player option, and I would imagine it's because if the stadium is ready, then everybody opts in. If it's not, all right, promises were broken, see ya. So 3, maybe 4 summers in a row where we're getting Messi. It's so much fun. It's so cool what we're watching here. I'm sure everybody else feels the same way. And you're getting the stars out at every game. Even that bum-ass Derek Jeter was at the game last night. Oh, he's terrible. And you know what? I like that they're showing that bum-ass Jeter on the screen there last night at the game. While at the same time, down south at Miami, not Fort Lauderdale, down south in Miami, Lone Depot Park, you got the Marlins with a tremendous win. A game they had to have so bad, walking it off against the Phillies last night. So, speaking of which, the Marlins yesterday, the Marlins are down 5-0 in this game. They come all the way back, and it's the debut game for Jake Berger, for Josh Bell. What a debut for those guys. So, you get the Marlins come back. In the 9th inning, Jorge Soler, he ties it with a solo blast, ties the game at 5 in the 9th inning. The Marlins come all the way back. David Robertson, while it wasn't blowing a save, gave up a 2-run home run for the second game in a row now in the 10th inning last night. So the Marlins, they come all the way back to tie it and send it to extras. The Phillies get the 2-run home run off David Robertson, who, again, doesn't blow a save, but gives up the home run there in the 10th. The Marlins score 2 in the 10th. Excellent job. Then in the 11th, the Phillies score again. The Marlins match it in the bottom of the 11th inning. This is a crazy game and a game the Marlins have to have. So in the bottom of the 10th, You got a ground out, and you had a sac fly, getting the 2 runs there to tie the game. In the 11th inning, it was, let me see, I forget how they scored it in the 11th. In the 11th inning, that's right, you had Josh Bell. Up the middle, ground ball, ties the game. Jacob Stoggs coming from second. He's the slowest and most unathletic. He scored easily. And they had a chance. I think it may have been bases loaded. They had a chance to get the winner. It may have just been first and second. They can't bring it in, so they have to go to the 12th inning. And then finally, 12th inning, the Marlins, they managed to hold the Phillies. No runs. They can't bring the runner in from second. And in the bottom of the 12th inning, Jesus Sanchez, he gets an excuse me bloop into shallow left field with the bases loaded. Jazz Chisholm scores easily, and a game the Marlins absolutely had to have. They take against the Phillies. Now this afternoon, you may be saying, Zaslow, the Marlins, they already won this afternoon against the Phillies. They got a 4-game split in this 4-game series. How come you're not talking about that? You're listening in the future. I'm in the past, all right? So I don't know. I'm hoping that ends up being the end result. But the Marlins, a game they absolutely had to have. They are now tied with Milwaukee for the 3rd wild card spot. It's cool and this is so rare because it's the Marlins, but every day we get to look at the standings. Every day. Marlins games matter, and every day there are playoff implications for all these games. Really cool. So the Marlins now, they're tied in that 3rd spot, that 3rd wild card position, and this afternoon, they have the Phillies as well. So if they win this afternoon, they would then jump into the 2nd spot. They're 2 back at number 1, which is San Francisco. They're tied with the 3rd spot, and they're 1 up on, what essentially is the 5th team there in this race, the Diamondbacks. And I think we also have to add the Cubs. The Cubs, hottest team in baseball, are now 2 over 500. So it really is 6 teams fighting for 3 wild card spots. You got to include the Cubs. Cubs are totally in it. They are red hot. They're on fire. So a game the Marlins had to have. Excellent job. And how about the debuts of Josh Bell and Jake Berger? 6 combined hits for the 2 of them and a home run from Bell. Couldn't have had a better debut for both those guys. So Marlins this afternoon, they're going to look to split the 4-game series. You'll take it, especially if it comes after losing the first 2. You got Johnny Cueto on the hill. I think Cueto was pretty good his last outing 5 days ago. So we'll see if he could do the job here today. All right. Let's keep this train moving. So, we got Mailbag coming up. I want to get to that. You got NFL preseason tonight. I don't really have anything for you. I'm not watching NFL preseason tonight, but that's going to do a huge number, right? And not just because I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is playing or not. It's Browns-Jets, but NFL preseason does big numbers. I'm not watching it. I'm not, we go through this every year. NFL preseason is back, Hall of Fame game. Everyone's excited, and what ends up happening is you turn it on, you watch a series it's preseason, it sucks. And then you change the channel. I'm not even going to be doing that tonight. I'm going to see Brad Williams tonight. Now, Brad Williams was on the show last week. You could always go back in the ZASLOW Show 2.0 archives. 2 weeks ago, maybe? However you listen to the show, you can go back and you can find the show. I think it was 2 weeks ago that Brad Williams was on with us. Tonight, Doral, Miami Improv. I'll see you there. 8 o'clock show. I told him this. I've told you guys this. I'm going to tell you again. I'm so excited to see Brad again tonight. It is the most fun I've ever had at a stand-up show. My wife and I go to the Improv a lot. We go to shows all the time. We were last there 2 or 3 weeks ago. We saw Jordan Jensen. I thought she was great. Crowd sucked. So it was a weird show. Tonight, though, is going to be on fire. Brad Williams, it feels like he's on the verge of getting really huge. That's not a short person joke. It feels like he's on the verge of getting really huge. It's the most fun my wife and I ever had at a show. JB Ball usually opens for him. I hope he's opening for him again tonight. Because top to bottom, between the opener, between him, it's going to be one of the best comedy shows you've ever been to. I hope to see you there tonight. Miami Improv, 8 o'clock show. So I'm not watching any preseason football. We're going out. We're going to see Brad Williams tonight. Super, super excited about that. All right. So here's what I got for you as far as the Heat are concerned and what's going on with the Damian Lillard stuff right now. First, though, if you guys are having any trouble sleeping, I've been telling you for a while now about Sheets and Giggles. I want to make sure if you're a ZASLOW Show 2.0 listener, I want to make sure you're getting the best sleep of your life. I've never slept better than I have the last few months, and that's not a coincidence. It's because I sleep on Sheets and Giggles now. Matter of fact, I can't lay down on my bed sheets in the middle of the day because I'm a lock to fall asleep, and then it's nap time, baby. I don't always want to take a nap, but right now, if you go to sheetsgiggles.com, it's going to be the last place you go to search for your bedding. Sheets and Giggles, you're going to become one of over 100,000 Americans that are sleeping on Sheets and Giggles. Naturally softer, cooler, more breathable sheets. It's the only place we're ever shopping now for our sheets. And oh my God, it's so soft. It feels so good when it touches my skin. I sleep on a eucalyptus pillow now. You ever slept on a eucalyptus mattress? That's right. We're talking sustainably made from the wood of eucalyptus trees. And my man Colin, the founder and CEO of Sheets and Giggles, this is on purpose because he cares about the environment and he cares about you guys making sure you get the best sleep of your life. Sheets and Giggles, the only sheets that you're ever going to sleep on. Everybody knows the saying. Once you go Sheets and Giggles, you never go back. Sheetsgiggles.com. All right, let me take a sip of my vitamin water. Hang tight for a second. Everybody calm down. All right. So, I'm listening to SiriusXM NBA radio this morning. You guys know I love SiriusXM. And I listened to Morning Men, of course, my pal Evan Cohen, who was on the show a couple days ago. We talked Heat basketball. We talked about the Lillard stuff. We talked about the memo that the league sent out last weekend. You can go back and you can listen in the ZASLOW Show 2.0 archives a couple days ago. Evan Cohen, great foul. He joins us on the program. I listen to Morning Men every day. My favorite show, everybody knows that. Also, my second favorite show, SiriusXM NBA Radio, the starting lineup, Frank Isola, Brian Scalabrine. Love those guys. So I'm listening to Frank and Scal this morning, and they got Evan on the show. Now, I knew he was going to be on to defend the Heat, to defend their honor. Fun segment. You know, Frank and Scal are obviously pushing back. Evan is pushing back from a Heat fan perspective because the Heat are being criticized all over the place. Although, from Frank and Scal, I gotta be fair. Frank and Scal are critical of the Heat. Frank and Scal are critical of the Heat fan and the Heat media, which they like to say are one and the same, and the way that they are pressing and saying, Joe Cronin and the Blazers, you have to take this offer. So they don't have anything bad to say about the Heat. It's really directed at the Heat fan and Heat media. But a couple afternoons ago, and I listened to SiriusXM NBA radio in the afternoon as well. Justin and Eddie. Justin Termini, Eddie Johnson. I consider Termini a friend at this point. He's been on ZASLOW Show 2.0 several times. I've been on with him on NBA radio several times. I like the show a lot. I'm listening to Justin and Eddie speak a couple afternoons ago. And I even tweeted it at Termini because I was getting annoyed. And I don't get annoyed at this kind of stuff. This is the business I'm in. Like, I understand the game. I understand the way the game is played. But I was getting annoyed because Justin and Eddie are speaking about the Heat needing to up their offer. Now, there's a difference here between these two scenarios that I'm talking about. Frank and Scal this morning, and essentially for the last few weeks, they're directing their comments at the Heat fan / media. I don't understand comments that are being directed about the trade offer or about the trade pursuit of Damian Lillard. I don't understand when it's being directed at the Heat, and the Heat need to do this, and this is what the Heat should do, and the Heat are not doing this, and this is why they're wrong. I don't understand that part. I'm listening to Justin and Eddie a couple of days ago talk about how the Heat need to up their offer. I'm also hearing, and specifically Eddie, but Justin agreeing, of course, how when you're going to make a trade, and I understand the perspective here, when you're going to make a trade for a star player, a superstar player like Damian Lillard, it can't come easy. It has to hurt a little bit. And I understand that he made the example of it hurt the Phoenix Suns because he's a former Sun and he's on their broadcast. It hurt the Suns. In order to acquire Kevin Durant, they had to hurt a little bit. They had to give up Mikal Bridges. And it hurt to give up Mikal Bridges. But you got to give something to get something. Hey, the example I like to use in that regard, when the Heat traded for Shaq, We all wanted that deal to be the draft picks, Lamar Odom, and Brian Grant. We wanted the trade centered around Lamar Odom and draft picks. And you need Brian Grant there also to work out the money. We didn't want to have to include Caron Butler. He'd only been in the league for 2 years at that point. He was coming off such a good year. But ultimately, it had to hurt a little bit. The Lakers demanded Caron Butler. And the Heat demanded Shaq. Heat wanted Shaq. So it hurt to give up Caron Butler. But you got to do it. And it worked out, obviously, in the short term for the Heat. Worked out very well. Won a championship. But it hurt giving up Caron Butler. Doesn't mean the trade wasn't good, but it hurt a little bit. So I understand that perspective that Justin and Eddie are talking about there. When it comes to acquiring a star player like Lillard, it's got to hurt a little bit. But this is a unique circumstance here. And as far as the Heat, and again, we're talking directly to the Heat, not to the Heat fan or Heat media. Why do the Heat have to step up their offer for Lillard? You know, I saw this. I think it was on NBA Today maybe, and he had Windhorst, and I'm not gonna be able to quote it directly, but Windhorst was on one of those shows on ESPN either yesterday or 2 days ago, and he said something to the effect of how, you know, obviously the end game is going to wind up with Lillard on the Heat, but there's no sense that there's any other team that's in the mix here for Damian Lillard, is essentially what Windhorst is talking about here, where he doesn't get, Windhorst saying he cannot identify another team that is seriously thinking about Damian Lillard, and that the Heat likely also cannot identify another team that is in the mix for Damian Lillard. And that's why the Heat don't have to step up their offer. Like, why do the Heat have to step up their offer for Damian Lillard? Even if you don't like the offer that the Heat have made, even if you don't like that deal, why do the Heat have to step up their offer? First of all, and this is where things get a little bit weird, right? If we believe that the Blazers have refused, this was from Barry Jackson a couple days ago, right? The Blazers have refused to seriously engage the Miami Heat. Well, if that's true, does it matter at all what the Heat are offering? Does it matter if they step up their offer? None of it matters if the Blazers have refused to seriously engage the Miami Heat. If they haven't engaged the Miami Heat, A, how do they know what the Heat's offer right now is? And B, does it even matter if the Heat up their offer if they've not seriously engaged the Heat? So, how do we even know what's really going on? So, there's that part of it, obviously. But also, why up the offer when you're bidding against yourself? Like, it'd be one thing when we're talking about the Heat need to up their offer. They're not giving up enough. They need to be more serious here. They can't just steal Damian Lillard. It would be one thing if we're telling the Heat these things because the Heat are complaining about the Blazers dragging, because the Heat are upset at the lack of contact with Joe Cronin, because the Heat don't understand why this is taking so long. It'd be one thing to say these things to the Miami Heat. You need to do this, you need to do that. The Heat made their offer. Take it or leave it. The Heat don't need to do anything. The Heat may be sitting back saying, this is our offer, let us know when you want to talk more. If you don't want to take it, we were just in the NBA Finals. We're good. Matter of fact, the year before, we were in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals. You don't want this offer? We're good. This is our offer. Take it or leave it. Why do the Heat have to up their offer? I don't understand that part of this conversation. And, you know, if you're more or less saying this to the Heat fan and Heat media, okay, but like the Heat fan is complaining about this stuff. The Heat fan is complaining that a deal hasn't been made yet. The Heat don't run the team. The Heat fan is not in charge. The Heat media doesn't run the team. The Heat media is not in charge. Why do the Heat have to up their offer? The Heat don't have to acquire Damian Lillard. Just because Damian Lillard wants a trade and only wants a trade to the Heat don't, A, have to want Damian Lillard. They do. And the Heat don't, B, have to give up everything in order to get him. Why don't the Heat have to do anything? Matter of fact, the Heat are not... Here's the dirty little secret. The Heat are not the ones with the problem. The Blazers are the ones with the problem. The Heat are just fine running back a team that just got to the NBA Finals. The Blazers have a problem. The Blazers want to rebuild, they're having a youth movement, and their star player wants out. The Blazers, if they don't trade Lillard by training camp, this is going to be a conversation and the media is going to ask questions every single day. This is not a Heat problem. This is a Blazers problem. They're the ones with no other offers, and they're the ones with an unhappy player who was likely lied to by management. The Heat are offering a solution. Take it or don't take it. But we're not the ones with a problem on our hand. You are. So this whole idea that the Heat need to up their offer, the Heat need to do more, that it needs to hurt the Heat a little bit in order to get Damian Lillard. No, it doesn't. This is the offer. Take it or leave it. What are you going to do about it? So that's the part that I find extremely frustrating about the current conversation surrounding the Heat and what they need to do in regards to acquiring Damian Lillard. You want to direct that stuff at the Heat fan? You want to direct that stuff at the Heat media? Okay, but the Miami Heat don't need to do shit. Like I keep hearing, the Heat made a lowball offer. Number one, do we know that if the Blazers have refused to engage the Heat? But let's assume that they have. Why wouldn't they make a lowball offer? The player is worth whatever the market dictates the player is worth. You see what's going on with running backs in the NFL right now. Running backs are worth whatever the market dictates what they're worth. Dalvin Cook's an amazing player. Nobody wants to pay him what he wants. Saquon Barkley is an amazing player. Nobody wants to pay him what he wants. The player is worth what the market dictates he's worth. Damian Lillard is worth what the market dictates he's worth. And right now, there's only one team making an offer. The Blazers can take it or leave it. The end. So that's the part that's frustrating to me about this whole thing. All right, let's have some fun here. Let's do some ZASLOW Show 2.0 mailbag. That's right. We started this a few weeks ago. ZASLOW Show 2.0 mailbag, where you could send to me on Twitter. I'm not calling it X. You could send to me on Twitter. No more retweets or reposts. At ZASLOW Show. Or on Instagram, where I'm an influencer, but I always got time for those that I influence. At ZASLOWJ. You could also... I got an email, actually. That's cool. My email's right there on my Twitter bio. So I send out the note like the night before. Send in questions. Every Thursday, we do mailbag here on ZASLOW Show 2.0. And I hope to hear from you guys. Can't do it without you guys. So let's get to some mailbag questions. All right. This question here is from Jesse. Jesse says, ZASLOW, were the Mega Powers the best short-lived tag team of all time? That's a great question. Matter of fact, the timing's fun because on last night's episode of It's Still Real to Me, which is a SummerSlam preview, on last night's episode, my pal Joey and I, we did our top 5 all-time favorite SummerSlam matches / moments. And the Mega Powers got a mention there, all right? Mega Powers, for those who don't know, this is back 1988. In between WrestleMania 4, when Macho Man won the championship tournament, and WrestleMania 5, when the Mega Powers explode and Hulk Hogan wins the championship back from Macho Man. The Mega Powers were a tag team, and they were short-lived because Macho felt that Hulk had lust in his eyes for Elizabeth. That's right. So they were a short-lived tag team. Were the Mega Powers the best short-lived tag team? I think they may have been. I mean, you got the WWF champion in Macho Man, and you got, the all-time greatest, or at least at the time, Hulk Hogan. Who's ever going to beat them? Yeah, Jesse, I think you're right. I think Mega Powers, best short-lived tag team. All right. What else we got here? This question here is from Saul. All right, Saul, let's see what you got here. Saul's asking, what's the vibe in Miami with Messi? Is it noticeable? Well, it's not like I'm having lunch yesterday in Mayor's Cafe in Pembroke Pines and everyone's talking about Messi. I'm not going to tell you that. But I'm assuming, Saul, that you don't live here in South Florida. And while I haven't been to one of the games, now I'm an inaugural season ticket holder for Inter Miami, but while I haven't been to one of the games yet, excuse me, I'm watching on television, and that's a different atmosphere. Like, I'm looking forward to going and experience it live and in person. That's a different atmosphere at those games now with Messi. I think that's the easiest way that I could tell you. Saul has another question. When will Roman Reigns' title run come to an end? I'm thinking WrestleMania. I think they're stretching it to WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia. They're going to stretch it for as long as they can. I don't believe it's coming this weekend. We gave our SummerSlam predictions last night on It's Still Real to Me. I do think Roman Reigns retains against Jey Uso. This question here is from Nick's Hex. He's at CatsFan31124. He's got two questions as well. Zaslow, how long into a dating scenario is it no longer acceptable to break things off with a text message? I think it's I've done this before. I think it's only acceptable after one date. I think after more than one date, can't break off text message anymore. Now, I'm not the best person to ask because I've been with my wife. We broke up once, but I've been with my wife since 2004, and texting only became like a huge thing like slightly before that. So like I said, I've only done that one time. I think one date is the only time that you could do that. After that, you got to be a grown-up. You got to be a man. You got to pick up the phone. Now he says here also, second question is, favorite season from a South Florida sports team, for example, 2003 Marlins. Wow, that's a good question. All right. Oh boy. See, this is so hard because the Panthers in 22, that season was amazing. But you can't pick that because the way it ended was so awful. Panthers 23, that was better than last year. So all-time favorite Panther season for me, was this year better than 96? I think it was because of all the playoff overtime wins, that kind of deal, 7-0 in overtime in the postseason, could shook the whole deal. Is there a better year than 23 Panthers? Yes, we're obviously going to have to. Now, 03 Marlins, amazing. We're going to have to go one of the Heat years. Non-championship Heat year, 2004 favorite year. Dwayne Wade's rookie year. Favorite season, non-championship of the Miami Heat, 2004. Otherwise, favorite Miami Heat season? Oh, boy. The run of the bubble was sick. This year's postseason was sick, but the regular season sucked so hard. I'm going to give you two. I'm going to give 23 Panthers, and let's go 13 Miami Heat. 27 wins in a row in the regular season. You got the Ray Allen shot in Game 6. You got the block from Bosch there in Game 6. They eliminate the Celtics in 7 games. You got the LeBron Game 5 there. I'm going to go 23 Panthers right behind 13 Heat. Panthers didn't win. Heat did. There you go. This question here is from @JimmyPlaying. He says, where does Goran Dragic rank all time among Miami Heat point guards? I think he's number 2. I think he's barely number 2. Tim Hardaway's number 1. I do think Goran Dragic's number 7 is going to be raised to the rafters. It's a disgrace that if it wasn't bad enough that Dragic was traded for Lowry, but that Lowry wears Goran's number 7, that's a disgrace. Goran Dragic ranks number 2 all time Miami Heat point guards. Greg Cabana, @Greg Cabana on Twitter, says, Zaslow, top 3 Pearl Jam deep cuts. Which deep cut that you haven't seen live would you most want to hear? Top 3 Pearl Jam deep cuts. Number 1, In Hiding, which is one of my top 5 Pearl Jam songs, period. I think I've only seen them perform it live once. I have my Pearl Jam Stat Tracker app. I'm not going to bore you to death right now and look up how many times I've seen In Hiding, but I think I've only seen it once. Top 3 deep cuts. In Hiding, Half Full, Nothing As It Seems. Oh my God, I love Nothing As It Seems. In Hiding, half full, Nothing As It Seems. Although Nothing As It Seems was released as a single for, I think it was binaural, but they rarely play it anymore. So I'm going to go with it as a deep cut. And which deep cut haven't you seen live that you would most want to hear? Oh boy. I mean, I'm not going to say I've seen every one of their songs live, because that's just not true. But which deep cut have I not seen live? Oh, man. I may have to get back. I mean, I guess it's got to be one of the more recent albums. Yeah. I got to get back to you on a specific one. But it's got to be from one of the more recent albums. All right. And I think I got one more question here. This one came, final question here for the mailbag. This one is from, let's see, Victor. Victor says, first time, long time. We all know you're a big Saw fan. You and Israel Gutierrez saw the first one in theaters, or maybe part two. Israel and I saw the second, third, and maybe the fourth one in theaters. And then he was like, it's getting silly. I can't go with you anymore. He was my date. We used to go see in the daytime. We saw 2, 3, and 4 in the theaters together. Anyway, are you excited for Saw X? It comes out September 29th. It's supposed to take place between Saw 1 and Saw 2. And, okay, so I am excited to see it because I'm done with the sequels. But the fact that this one's like in between, and I think it's telling you how Tobin Bell, how Jigsaw became Jigsaw, I'm into it. So yes, I'm very excited about it. If you were in a Saw trap and the results were the Knicks or the Celtics had to beat the Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals, which would you choose? Let the games begin. Okay, this is a terrible question. Just like being in a Saw trap is so terrible, I have to answer the terrible question. You know, there's no way out of it or I die. So I have to pick the Knicks beating the Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals or the Celtics beating the Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals. And the answer is I pick the Knicks. I hate the Celtics so much. I've told you this. I hate the Celtics more than the Knicks. The Heat have played the Celtics in the playoffs, I think one time more than the Heat have played the Knicks. The Heat have played the Knicks in the playoffs 97, 98, 99, 2000, 2014, and 2023. So 6 times. The Heat have played the Celtics in the playoffs 2010, 2011, 2012, 2020, 2022, 2023. Wow, both teams 6 times. The Heat are 4-2 against the Celtics. The Heat are 3-3 against the Knicks. I hate the Celtics more than I do the Knicks. So I would pick the Knicks. Yeah. I think that's it. Both terrible choices. I can't handle losing to the Celtics. I would pick the Knicks. And that right there is another edition of ZASLOW Show 2.0 Mailbag.